Welcome back, everybody. Good news. Those oil seals I've been waiting on finally showed up. So we're going to try and get through this belt pulley assembly pretty quick because we're coming right down to the wire before we got to leave to that Le Sueur, Minnesota swap meet. So I don't know if we're going to get this compiled and through the members page and onto the public feed before it's time to leave or not, but we're not going to waste a lot of time doing it. So here are the seals right here, the new numbers that I crossed them to. We have, I believe, input seal here, the old cat number, cross number, and the specs. Same with the output seal. Y'all can just pause that if you want that information. Otherwise, we've got the output seal installed. We've got the input seal installed. So we're ready to start throwing parts back into that housing. Also, contacted paperpulleys.com, Paper Pulleys Inc., and they're about 4 months backed up right now with what they've already got sitting there. So we might as well put this little pipe dream on the back burner for the foreseeable future, because it doesn't sound like even if I sent it to them now, they'd even get to it this summer. So we'll get it eventually. First thing that goes in the housing is the input shaft, and both of the bearings, actually all the bearings in this drive, were in really good condition. I don't think this thing did a lot of turning in its day. So we just cleaned all that old black grease out, put some fresh oil on, ready to put it together. The snap ring goes in now on top of the bearing. And then our shim pack. So these dictate not only the depth of the drive gear, but also the gear mesh, like the backlash and what have you. So they set on top of the bearing. Next up is the drive gear, but first we have to put the woodruff key on, and you'll notice we have a nice sharp corner here, but the corner is ground off on this edge. That edge has to face up because when the key is inside the gear, let's see if we can make it sit there. All right. That ground off portion of the key is because of the tab on the fold over lock. So when that tab sits down in the key slot on the gear, it needs to have clearance against that woodruff key. So that's why you'll see these have been ground on a little bit. That wasn't something somebody did after the fact. It was that way from the factory. So with the ground edge up, we can get the key put in place in the shaft. Okay, in the press, pressing the gear on now. So we're actually supported on the end of the input shaft because we don't want to press through those bearings. So with a good solid foundation beneath us, we can start pushing on the gear. I like to put the larger bearing bore out this way because we can keep an eye on that woodruff key in there, make sure it never starts kicking out sideways. There we are. Okay, let's do the spin test. All good. So next up is the new fold over lock. I like to grease the surface because when you tighten the nut down, it doesn't want to pull and twist the lock quite so bad. So line that tang in with the woodruff key slot. Nut goes on top of that. Nut is tight. We've folded the lock, so the next piece we put in is this output shaft support bearing. Now we load the output shaft, and here's another stack of 4 shims on this end that sets, like I said, not only backlash, but gear mesh and everything else. This was set up so well before. I just left all this stuff the same. No need to change any of it. So we'll load that into that support bearing. And I'll just use the spanner nut to draw the shaft all the way into the bearing. Next step now is to get this Hyatt bearing outer race driven into the housing. And the reason why we're doing this now is because the gear that's on the output shaft does not fit through the race. It only fits through that opening before the race is in there. So we could set this up in the press and try and press it in. I'm just driving it in with this mallet. It taps in fairly easily. Just make sure you align that hole with the set screw opening and you'll be good. Now we'll lock the bearing race in place with that set screw with some sealer on the threads. Now there's a thrust washer that goes on, followed by the inner Hyatt bearing race, followed by the Hyatt bearing itself, and one final thrust washer. Now that we've got both ends of that output shaft well supported, I gave that spanner nut one last tweak just to line the hole for the lock up with the hole in the shaft so we can put the spring lock back on. And put the cover on, seal this end of it up. Seal plate goes on the other side now. And before we tighten the bolts up, we leave it just a bit loose so that we can center it with the seal sleeve. That ensures there's even pressure on that oil seal all the way around. And with one last look inside, backlash is still good. Final spin test. Like it. Let's seal it up. Well, we'll slide the only pulley we have left with paper on it onto the drive because the ETA on getting a new one with paper is still unknown. I'll put the fold over lock on it, but I don't know that I'm going to fold it over yet. It'll be in place, but we might still get a new pulley someday. Click. So the final piece goes right here. That is the breather slash filler caps. So you can see I took this one apart. I didn't do any of that on camera, but they come apart so easy. It's like a pepper shaker. It's got the 4 holes in the bottom of it. You can see all the way through there, and kind of a mushroom top deal. It has this strip of kind of a copper woven media, all wrapped up and stuffed in there, and then this core plug just goes right in the top. So these are so simple to take apart without really wrecking anything. Just grab it by the lower hex portion in a vise so it's well supported, and take like a larger diameter punch and just start driving down one side of that plug until it kicks sideways, and then just grab on it with the pliers, pull it out, and then you can just pull all of the media out of the middle. I flatten it out and clean it with some solvent, let it air dry, and then we just fold it all back up, stuff it back in there, pound the cap back on the top, and that's about all you have to do. This media was all folded in half lengthwise first, and then it was just stuffed in there. Just make it fit. It's a tight fit, but it all goes in. And just like that, final piece. So we're ready to install the belt pulley onto the PTO housing, and I want to point this out to y'all because it's kind of an interesting feature. So look at where the alignment dowel hole is right there, and then directly across from it is the other one, okay? They did that for a reason. You can see them right here and right here. I'll show you what's up with that. So we'll slide this on the PTO shaft. Engage those alignment dowels. So with the PTO engaged, I'll roll the engine over and have a look at the pulley. The pulley is going to spin clockwise as you're looking at it. Now this really illustrates where Cat put a lot of thought into these attachment power distribution components. Say that's not the correct rotation for what you're primarily running. Okay, you can twist the belt and get a different rotation at the other end, or you can have, like this is an ambidextrous housing, so you could actually flip this over to reverse rotation on that pulley. It's really easy to do too, because we've got this pipe look here. You just swap positions between that and the filler elbow. So the plug goes over here, the filler elbow goes in here, and then you just take your filler / breather off and swap positions with the drain plug down here. So your breather goes right there, your drain plug goes in that spot, and then you just do this. You unbolt it and flip the whole thing over. And now we go back and spin the engine. That pulley is now rotating counterclockwise, as opposed to the clockwise rotation it had from the last time we looked at it from this angle. That's how you very quickly and easily reverse rotation of the belt pulley. And we'll finish off with filling all of the compartments with oil. Everything in the whole back end of the tractor. Look at that nice red stuff. And just like that, everything back here is full. It took a lot more work than what I showed, but we'll quickly go over the capacities here. Transmission is 8 quarts. When it runs out of this plug down here, you know it's full. Each final drive, approximately 4.5 quarts. Fill each one of them up to the fill plug opening. The PTO, I squeeze just under a quart into that. Manual says to fill it up to the opening on the filler elbow. And the belt pulley, just under 2 quarts, like 1 3/4. Again, fill it up to the top of the elbow right there. So that should be all the main transmission / driveline compartments in the back end. And liking the looks of that PTO, the belt pulley on there. So it does make it a bit hard to access the drawbar. You could get drawbar extensions. They were available. I don't have any, have never found any, never seen any. So this is easy enough to take off the machine. If I was going to do drawbar work, I'd have this off anyhow because I don't want to hitch from an implement getting into that pulley. But nice attachment to have. Double sets of attachments, PTO, belt pulley. Very useful. So we'll get all the plugs put back in as soon as I turn the camera off. And, well, I think we have another episode for 11:13. Hate to cut and run on y'all, but I need to start throwing this together in the editor and get it cooking tonight yet if I'm going to keep on schedule to get everything uploaded by the time I want to have it uploaded. So as always, everybody, thanks for watching. Tune back in again.